Welcome back to another episode of Beyond Normal Days. I'm your host, Guillermo. This is episode 15 with OMEN Recordings boss Axkan. Known for his industrial and ethnic rhythms, Axkan has been a part of the techno community for some time now. In the interview, Axkan speaks about his introduction to electronic music and about his first collaborator project with Luis Flores and Jorge H.M. called Double Helix. We get to hear about the pre-Hispanic influence on his artist moniker and the mission behind OMEN Recordings, which is home for artists such as Manny D, A.R. Kana, Dark Cloud, and Paul Birkin, just to name a few. The guest mix was curated by Axkan himself. The mix is a recording of his hybrid set from his recent gig in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Make sure to check out the recent release, A Court EP by Warren D on OMEN Recordings. The EP features remixes by Swarm Intelligence, D Carbon, and Axkan himself. Follow Axkan on Facebook at axkan.techno to stay updated with upcoming gigs and releases. Make sure to follow Beyond Normal on Facebook and Instagram at Beyond Normal Official and on Twitter at BeyondNormal_. Also follow your boy on Instagram at Guillermo.bn and on Twitter at GuillermoBN_. Thank you for tuning in, and now please welcome Axkan. This is Beyond Normal Days, and today I'm here with Federico Sanchez, aka Axkan. Welcome, Axkan.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
No problem, man. Thank you for being on the show and allowing me to sit down with you, and get to know you a little bit.
Sure, no problem.
So, let's start off, by telling the listeners where you're from.
Yeah, I'm from Mexico. I was born in Mexico City, and then later on, like I think when I was 10 or 11, I moved to Guadalajara, and then that's where I grew up, and I guess that's where my musical journey started. And then after that, when I was 20 something, like in 99, I moved to the States. Lived in Chicago for 10 years, and now
nice.
I've been in LA for about 10.
So Chicago first, then LA.
That's right.
Nice. House music.
Yep.
In Chicago,
very
but
housey.
Yeah, and how was your musical?
Go.
Go.
So so I grew up when I was young, just listening to music. My family, my mom was a music fan. She was always listening to rock and roll, like Creedence and stuff, and Beatles stuff. And then my uncles too. They one of the most influential uncles. He will play Giorgio Moroder, stuff like that, disco music, and that's how everything started. So to be honest, I started with the more commercial music, right? I remember listening to Michael Jackson, Aha, Madonna.
Yeah.
And then when I went to like middle school, I think I started to look for something else, right? So I started listening to more on the post-punk goth music, kind of stuff like that, like Bauhaus, Joy Division, all that, The Cure. And then, I kind of got into like the electronic side of things when things got a little more, electronic, like, Depeche Mode, New Order, stuff like that. Unfortunately, it was still commercial.
Yeah.
Until one day, I think it was more like in high school, a friend of mine, he gave me this record. And he's like, this is, I don't really know what this is. It's kind of weird, but since you like the electronic music, check it out.
You might be able to tell me what it is.
Yes, that was actually a record called Mind the Perpetual Intercourse by Skinny Puppy.
Oh, I've heard of Skinny Puppy, so.
Yeah. So that, I'm going to probably say that blew my mind. And I was like, oh my God, this is like not commercial at all. And this is something like really filled me up. So then I started, making friends with people, just trading cassette tapes. With industrial music, because at the time it was actually hard to find. It was very much in Europe and in the United States, so it wasn't so easy to get those kind of records. And then that's when I met Luis Flores, and we started kind of exchanging CDs and tapes, and then we started this radio show in the University of Guadalajara radio station.
With Luis as well, too?
With Luis, and there was a few other members, like Sebastián Veitia, a guy called Pelito Alejandro, Chetos. So, it was a group of like 4 or 5.
That's tight.
That every week, I think it was on Monday or something, they give you the lowest kind of air time.
I know that. It's like, it's
like midnight or something,
the one that nobody kind of like not like they're gonna listen, but meaning it's always that. But it's always cool because that's always where you always find some of the dopest thing, is like that obscure
even
time
up to this day. I always like change to the university station to see what's on. So, and then that's how I kind of started. Then Luis and I started to listen to more industrial music, more EBM, and then we started to buy instruments, and so we started trying to make some music of our own. So we did a few tracks, and then the techno start sounding a little more stronger, right? So we start switching a little more into the techno music and industrial kind of started fading down. In the late 90s, and the whole rave scene came up, so we
the 90s rave scene.
That's right. So we kind of switch from being really like industrial and vocals and noise to a little more techno. So that's, I guess, how everything started. From there, we made a few musical projects, and then he moved to Berlin. I moved to the States, but we still stay in touch.
I know, that's crazy. I did not. That's tight. That's sick. I like hearing stuff like that, because like Luis Flores, I'm like, which makes sense because he's both of you from Mexico, and it's cool because I think honestly my mom went to la Universidad de Guadalajara, so I think so. And also for sure my aunt went there as well too, and I have a couple I think cousins who are going there right now as well too, because they're from Ciudad Guzman, Jalisco. They're from Jalisco, so it's like a 2-hour drive from there. So it's like, so that's why I'm like, damn, I knew I was gonna find some cool stuff. That's tight. That's so cool.
Sure.
So you went to Chicago first in LA. Was there a scene in Chicago, like an electronic music scene?
Yeah, I have to say, the years that I was in Chicago, I don't think the scene was really big, because the story was kind of similar to most big cities. Like after the 90s rave scene, the police started to crack down on all the parties. So that basically killed the scene in a lot of places. In Chicago, there was just stories about legendary parties. Like I never got to go and stuff. But so basically the police just cracked down. The rave finished. So I have to say, during these years in Chicago, it wasn't like the best time especially for techno. But right now it is. Right now I've seen parties with 500-800 people in Chicago. So that's like big change.
And then with Synthetic Minds, Marco, who does stuff over here, I know he's doing stuff like that.
I think he either started there.
He did. He started from Chicago. Like, almost kind of like, it's funny how you kind of say he went to Chicago and then he moved to LA. So almost similar, like, like that.
Yeah, I think he came a little after I came in 2011.
Oh, yeah, not the same time, but like just like the same maneuver, like kind of getting to Chicago, then LA as well.
But and then, during this time in Chicago, I just, I guess I was tired of the cold, first of all. And then obviously I heard about the interface parties in LA. And then I met Drum Cell and through Luis.
Because it's part of
while
Detroit,
I went
right?
to the US, Luis started getting connected with Drum Cell and all the LA techno people. So then I get to know them, and I got a job offer to move to LA. So I said, why not? And I think since then my music has just grown a lot more.
Oh, okay. So nice. Damn, that's crazy. And when you came to LA, did you go to the interface party like right away?
Yeah.
So it was like right away.
So right away in 2011, and actually I went to parties before. Okay. Because I will just come to visit and.
Oh, well, true. It makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
So if Luis was playing, maybe I will fly, just party and stuff.
What about because I know Chicago and Detroit are pretty close. Did you go to the Movement Festival, or the Detroit Electronic Music Festival when it was happening and everything? So.
Oh yeah, I think I've been going for maybe, I'm gonna say, 15 years maybe.
Oh wow, nice. Yeah.
Movement.
That's tight.
Obviously, it was easier from Chicago.
It's right there, like
4-hour drive. But then even after I moved to LA, I still go every day. I'm actually promote a party in Detroit during Movement.
Oh, I know you, because I went on your Instagram and I know you played a Mord showcase in Detroit as well too.
Right. Yes. It was promoted by myself and another partners.
Okay, okay, I saw that. Yeah, that's cool. Do you remember the time when you maybe like got educated in the history of techno, and the Detroit, how where Detroit, it's the birthplace of techno?
Yeah, I mean, this is you know, I'm not I guess I'm not a big fan of saying, the birthplace or not.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah.
Because I don't think it's that important to me. To me, the important is what is right now, right? So
yeah,
it doesn't matter if techno was born here, if Europe is where the
kind of like not developed, but it got accepted right a little bit first. That's why I kind of describe it. Yeah.
But I do respect a lot Detroit and the history, right?
Okay,
So
yeah.
I respect a lot the music that these guys created, and I think it was definitely inspiring for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So and yeah, so the answer is yes. I think I skipped maybe one or two festivals for really strong reasons, but I always try to go, and even though lately it's been a little more commercial, I think I'm just going for my the parties that I
like
promote,
the after parties. People always say like, hey, the after parties are still like prime. Like you'll still find something like.
Yeah, I mean, even with all the commercial additions to the lineups, I think it's still the best weekend in the US for techno. So
I've only gone once, but I hope to return and just go have fun, because it was an amazing weekend. It was so.
It's so much fun, man.
Yeah, it was.
And sometimes it's not just about the music, but the people, right? Like
exactly. The experience. I was there with our homies. We got an Airbnb, pretty cheap. Not because maybe housing is cheap out there. I'm not sure. Yeah. But it was fun. It was just a dope weekend and everything as well too. So
yeah, and I a lot of the connections that I have with techno worldwide, they've been from there, because all these people come there. So I meet people from Colombia, for example. Like this year, I think I went to play there. People from Berlin, right? Yeah. People from Russia. People just.
It's a weekend where all these and I describe them like it's like not any and every techno DJ, but for example, I feel like a lot of majority of DJs meet up that weekend right there as well too. So it's like where people get to see each other again. You're like, hey, how you been? I seen you, doing your stuff out there. But it's like a weekend where everybody kind of meets up again.
And then when you start playing, then you have people from all over the US who can hear you, and then they're like, hey, you know what? Why don't you come play?
Oh, at my party or somewhere over here, yeah.
And then that's how you start to connect, right?
Yeah.
So it's not only good to party, but if you're in the industry, it's also really helpful
to network a little bit.
Yes.
You mentioned Colombia, and you said that you played in Colombia this year.
That's right.
Yeah, how was that?
It was amazing, man.
Because I hear that somebody described it as the South American capital of techno. Because how some people right now can describe Germany as the techno capital of the world.
Well, I will say.
Was that too much to
tough.
say?
It's hard to compare to Berlin,
okay.
Because Berlin is
Berlin,
right? But I mean, for me, it was one of the best experience as a performer in Colombia. I think I'm gonna say it's more because of the people, right? The people really supports techno. It's not like here where people go to techno parties, right, and just have fun.
Or they're just there because it's a party,
right?
Maybe
because they want to get out and let's go to this party, right? But in Colombia, especially in Medellin, I think people, they just bought the whole techno culture, and people just love it. So if you are into the techno, you are somebody, important for them.
Have you heard of the Freedom Festival over there?
Yeah, I think that's the one in. I'm not sure if it's in Bogota or in Medellin.
I can't remember either.
But
that's
the festivals, they are getting ginormous. Like the last when I heard or saw there was a, Rod Hat and Jeff Mills was playing.
Wow.
It's a funny story, but I almost borrowed my 909 to Jeff Mills.
To Jeff Mills? Oh, man.
It's my friend from Colombia. He called me and he's like, hey, you know what? We have a problem. The person who was supposed to borrow the 909 from Colombia, he's not doing it. And Jeff Mills is not playing without the 909.
909, yeah.
So they will pay for your flight just to bring the 909. And if you want, he can sign it for you.
Yeah.
But I think they found someone who never been to Colombia, which actually was Dean Paul.
Oh, really?
So my understanding is that Dean Paul he truncates 909.
Was he recently?
Yeah, it was like
a couple months ago?
Less than 6 months ago. I'm going to say 4 or 5 months ago.
That's crazy because I think it all kind of like makes a full circle because like in the beginning of the year, it was this year, right?
Yeah.
So in the beginning of this year,
summer, I think.
I remember, we meet Dean. We were supposed to do the interview, but he last minute had to go to Colombia. He's like,
that's why.
Yeah, he last minute had to go to Colombia. He's like, dude, you can hate me, but I really have to. I have to go to Colombia, like last minute. And I'm like, oh, dude, no worries, like we'll postpone it to another.
Yeah. So I said, you know what, just go, man, because he never been to Colombia.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, just go. I actually just came back from there.
Are you serious?
So I just played maybe like 3 weeks.
Wow.
And then 3 weeks later, they wanted me to go back.
And the thing is, like, right now, kind of thinking about it, when I hit you up, I'm like, I'm hoping he's not like out of the country or something like that too. I wouldn't be surprised, that he's like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm in Colombia or I'm in Berlin. He's like, so.
No, it's all good, man. So yeah, that's the story. And but yeah, it's great, man. I mean, you just really feel like people recognize your work. You know what I mean? I mean, this might sound a little, I don't know what, but I think I probably had at least 50 people taking photos with me.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And Axkan, I'm like, dude, this is the first time I play in this country, and everybody knows me, and they did a great job promoting. Yeah. And then also, I have to say, Luis Flores has been playing there for quite a while, and they kind of connect him with me, and that's, I think, that really helped there.
Yeah.
But yeah, people really like it. The place got packed. I think it was probably about 600 people. It's probably my most attended 600 show.
People, that's crazy. Sometimes like when people can think like, what, 500 people or whatever, or that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people.
Yep.
Imagine like in a warehouse or
and I'm talking about as a headliner, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I play in this other festival with way more, but I was just one of the 30 or something artists.
On the lineup or something.
And it was not my best experience. So yeah, in terms of people and energy, I gotta say Medellin and the whole Colombia is just amazing.
Yeah, that's another spot that I want to go to. Every time I see that, I'm like, oh, it's so crazy.
Yeah, you should go to one of those festivals and just.
I think it would be like a dope experience. I remember that when I went to Detroit for the first time, I remember in the restrooms, I said Medellin Techno. I said a bunch of stickers, Medellin Techno, Medellin Techno. And I'm like, what is Medellin? What's Medellin? And I remember I went on to, Google, whatever, and I saw Medellin, Colombia.
And it's beautiful then. So. It's beautiful landscapes and people, and, the food is just, is worth. Definitely.
Yeah, that's like somewhere for sure.
A trip there.
And kind of like backtracking a little bit, but when you came to LA in 2011?
Yes.
Okay, so when you came to LA, how would you describe the techno scene in LA specifically around that time?
The scene in LA during those years, it was probably the best in the US.
Oh, okay.
I don't think New York was at that level. I mean, there was this club Output, but that was a club.
Oh.
And it's closed now. But that was probably the techno place in New York.
Yeah.
I don't think there was.
Oh, Output. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I know where that's familiar. Yes.
So.
Yeah.
But it's a club. You can compare a club with interface parties, or
Yeah.
So yeah, the techno scene during those years, it was great. I think I saw probably the top techno artists at the time in LA. I saw Ben Clock, Chris Living, Speedy J. I mean, all the stars of that time.
Yeah.
They will come to LA and play. So
Did
it
you
was great.
see? I think it was. I'm not sure if it was an interface party, but I know it was a droid party when Surgeon played.
Surgeon, I
Yeah.
think. I don't think I went to that one.
Because I know somebody on Facebook posted.
But Chris Living.
Oh, okay.
played.
Yeah. The Speedy J one. That was probably a droid
Speedy
behavior
J.
party, no? Or.
So yeah, like I said, during those years, the LA scene, the techno scene was very good, man. Very good.
Just so you can get like a little perspective, like kind of like for me, whatever. I kind of got into electronic music in 2009, 2010. I graduated from high school in 2010, so 2011 was still, I'm barely like fresh. But around that time, I was still not even to the, what I would call it, the underground scene. The EDM boom was around that time, so the whole like, everybody wanting to go into EDC,
Skrillex and all that stuff.
All that like kind of like bass music. Dubstep was like, it would be like maybe a little bit more authentic than what it is right now. I'm not even listening to that, but it's like that's how. So you can kind of a little bit like where I kind of got into it as well too. See, but yeah, and how did the idea of going as Axkan come about? Using the name Axkan.
Oh yeah, so that's a kind of long story. So back then, when I was doing techno with Luis and this other guy, we had this trio.
Yeah.
It was called Double Helix.
Double Helix. Ooh.
So we put up some music out first with a label called Opción Sónica in Mexico City. So we put some really good tracks there, and then I had this experience when I went to this concert of what's called pre-Hispanic music, which basically is the music that the authentic music from Mexico before the influence from Europe.
Oh, before like colonized.
Exactly.
Okay.
So they were basically, they had all kinds of instruments, like drums, of course, these flutes, ocarinas, shakers, maracas, all that stuff. So I went to the show. There is this guy called who actually died already. His name was Jorge Reyes, and well, first I went to this show where it was all authentic pre-Hispanic. They do this show with nothing but like acoustic instruments. And then I went to see the show with Jorge Reyes, he was basically doing similar things but with electronic instruments. Very, very impressive. Just blew my mind, and that's when I said, I have to do something like this.
Wow.
So I started to think about creating a project where I will do these techno sounds, but with Mexican ethnic instruments on top of it. So then basically at that point I started having two projects. I was having Double Helix and Axkan.
Wow.
And Axkan start kind of getting more traction, and I was kind of distracting myself a little bit from Double Helix. So then after a few months I just went with Axkan. And Luis Flores continued Double Helix with Jorge, the other guy. So yeah, and then when I was creating this project, obviously, I show it to Luis, and he's like, wow, this is really cool, man. And I just figured I had to use a name that was kind of ad hoc to the influence that I had. So I looked for words in original Mexican language, not Spanish, right?
Yeah.
So I found this word that I actually took some classes of this language. It's called Nahuatl.
Oh, that's like yeah.
But it's really the Mexican language.
The original. Yeah.
So I started learning. I learned how to say a few things, and then that
That's
word
tight.
was a word that I thought it was, because some of those words are really complex,
Yeah.
So it will be a, suicide,
You'll be
artistic
like,
suicide
how
to
do you pronounce
putting
that?
that name, like I just like the guys now that are like
Yeah, like all these, all
or
these
the
crazy names.
9999
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah. I
something.
didn't know. I know, but somebody says like 9 times 9,
Yeah,
but I'm just like, oh, okay.
but so anyway, so I was looking for a word that was still Mexican, but that it was a little easier to
Yeah,
remember.
Axkan. You can easily
So I
like,
use
I was.
Axkan. And then actually I have to say I moved on from that style.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so now I still add some elements into my music, but I'm a little more in the industrial techno
Yeah.
style right now.
Okay.
But if you listen, you always hear some
Some elements or something like
drums or
that.
some. Usually it's percussions that I try to use, ethnic instruments. Um, in like 2000, I think it was in 2010 when I came back, because I took a break around 2007 maybe to 2010, because we moved to this place which was smaller, so I
Okay.
didn't really have a lot of space, so I put all my gear in storage, and I was just
Okay.
having my laptop, so I kind of just took a break, right? And when I came back, I just wanted to do something new, and I thought about changing my name. I had a few options that I was playing with. I thought about using this rot or something like this, because it was really more like Berlin European dark
Okay.
techno sound. But then it's hard, man. Just picking names for your artist name is just really hard. So at some point, somebody said, "Well, you know what? Even if Axkan has like 2 fans, that's better than start from zero. So I think you should stay." So then I
Stick with
just
it.
decided to keep the name, and it's been there for.
Yeah, no, it works perfect. It's dope, and then to hear that backstory. So this is why the interviews, or I want to have these conversations, because it's just kind of like, it's always interesting to know how somebody decided to come up, to go with that name as well
Yeah.
too, and that's cool. That's super dope.
Yeah, even if you go to my SoundCloud, there is all the way down. There is a track that I wrote when I was into that more.
Oh, I was gonna
Ethnic,
ask you that too. I'm like, can we find some
more.
music? Like,
Yeah, it's
oh
there. I think
wow,
it's
okay,
called something like Purple Sky or
okay,
in
yeah,
Spanish, and that's back then when I was trying to do this techno sound
yeah.
with.
Yeah, and I think your bio or one of your biographies says something like that as well too. How you incorporate some. I'm not sure if it was,
Oh
I think,
yeah, like I
pre-Hispanic,
have
like, yeah.
some tracks with samples of, chants in,
Oh, that's tight. That's
so
cool. Oh, that's cool. I've always kind of thought about, like, have people done it? But there we go. Axkan, he's done it already. So there you go.
yeah. I wish I can do more of that now, but I'm
You think
just
you can
kind
still
of.
probably like do like industrial, but still add something like
Oh yeah, like so as I said, my roots are industrial, right? So
Oh yeah.
so even though I was in this kind of ethnic thing going on, I will still incorporate sounds very industrial and noise, and I put a lot of distortion in my tracks and my channels
Yeah.
usually. So yeah, that's I it's funny because all my life almost I've been kind of misfit, like for the techno people I was a little too hard, because I was industrial.
And now everybody wants it. Everybody wants
Right. And then for the industrial, I was just a DJ, For the people in the industrial,
okay.
I will try to get and play, and they say, "Oh no, this is DJ techno stuff. It's not, for them it's like
yeah.
guitar and screaming,
Just
and
some,
stuff
a
like
little
that,
bit more
right?"
like not acoustic, but a little
Yeah,
more.
yeah. So I wouldn't say the rave culture was very close to the goth industrial culture.
Oh wow, that's
But
kind of hard to a little bit believe. Like since like right now, there's always that
but now
kind of like
it's
intertwined
I'm
in a
loving
sense.
it now because it's now you see all this crossover. Now you see industrial techno artists playing with industrial artists,
Mm-hmm.
and vice versa too, right? So now you have Reese Fulber from Frontline Assembly playing in techno parties, and you have people from the industrial techno playing in industrial
Yeah.
in techno in industrial.
Yeah.
So just last Wednesday I played at this party where it's usually more EBM and industrial, and it was fine.
It was
Everybody
good.
likes it. So yeah, I'm really loving this crossover
Yeah.
of techno industrial or industrial
That's
techno.
perfect too because
So,
since you've been in kind you've been doing it, so it's dope to kind of say it's like, hey, there we go.
oh
And
yeah,
I'm
I
like,
have tracks that I've showed to people who are now in this industry. I said, look, I wrote this like 10 years ago.
and they're like,
So,
what?
what? No way. I was like, yeah. So yeah, it's kind of fun, and that's how actually Omen Recordings came
Oh.
to life, because we had this label in Mexico with Luis Flores too called Nopal Beat,
Okay.
which did pretty well in like 2000 to 2003 maybe,
Yeah.
or maybe even before that. But then it kind of faded down, and some issues with the EMI records, and
Oh.
so anyway, just disappeared. So I always had this kind of intention to start a new label.
Oh. Okay.
And I just didn't feel really inspired until I started hearing this new artist throwing industrial techno, or in that time it wasn't even called industrial techno, it was
It was
just
just
techno, hard techno, or
that is the term, hard techno, or
yeah, well, like I said, it's really like so diverse now. Like for example, there's this techno that's almost like rave techno
oh
from
yeah,
back in
yeah.
the
There's
day,
that. Yeah, there's
but it has this industrial sounds on
Yeah.
it. So I don't know if that's really industrial techno.
yeah.
So and then there's this really dark industrial techno, like instruments of disciplines, or R&D records, or A plus W. Those are labels like you listen and it's really hard experimental noise and voices and vocals and stuff. And then there is this rave things like 145 beats per minute, almost close to hardcore.
Or which like almost maybe Gabber as well.
Yeah,
too,
yeah,
or
almost.
something?
Well, Gabber is way more, but
Okay.
I'm just gonna say more like hardcore.
Oh, okay.
From-
Yeah.
from,
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like hardcore. Yeah.
Yeah, so now the BPMs are really high, and the tandems are kind of just so difficult to find. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, and I'm sorry, but I forgot where we were going with.
Well, you first said that's how you kind of started, or why Omen Recordings came
Oh
about,
yeah,
because you wanted to start like.
So exactly when I heard that, I met my partner on Omen Recordings, Tanya Lee,
Oh, yeah,
in
yeah.
Detroit, by the way.
Oh.
And then we just got acquainted, and we had the same like music likes and people and the same goals and stuff. And she also had this idea of maybe doing a label, and then I said, sure, maybe we can do it. And so we started Omen Recordings with the whole idea of getting this darker side of techno. And that's why all our covers are a little. Some people say very metal. Some people think it's like, oh, that looks like a heavy metal record.
Yeah,
and I'm like, well, no, man, it's techno, but it's not your average techno. We try to release that new kind of sound, darker.
And that's like a question that I had. What do you look into when you sign an artist? That's gonna represent Omen Recordings.
Well. First of all, I look for something that fits the label, right? I don't want to release just something, even if it's really good, but if it's acid, we don't release acid, right?
Oh, okay.
Actually, we get a lot of demos with acid, and it's cool, I have my 303s, and I love acid, but I don't think that's for OMEN, right? If you like in some tracks, for example, I even put a little 303, but it's not like the main instrument.
The main, like, it's like,
yeah,
kind of labels it almost like, oh, that's an acid techno track or an acid track,
right,
you know, whatever.
exactly. Yeah. So first of all, I look that it falls into this genre that is techno, but a little darker, a little experimental. I like people who add these, gritty sounds, really like, screechy sound, feedbacks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of
something
the signature of the label. And then also I look for something that's that has a lead,
Oh.
Make sure the tracks is not just a loop with a few things and hi-hats, make sure they have a
have
soul,
some structure,
a soul, and have good structure. And actually the structure I'm not too much, because I sign tracks that are really weird, where the arrangement is not standard.
Okay.
So that's also important to me, that is something different, right? That is not, if you, no offense to my colleagues, but I think all the American labels, they kind of releasing the same techno, like the same, I'm gonna call it dark techno from 10 years ago with Chris Levin, Dan Clock, all that same techno is what's in the labels in the US, basically. Yeah. So I wanted to do something different, right? Because one more of those, it wasn't gonna do really well, right?
Yeah.
So we wanted to sound different and bring something new. So, when we started 3 years ago, there was like no industrial techno in the States. Yeah. The only label that was kind of releasing something like that was Sonic Grove with Adam X.
Adam X, yeah.
But he's really living in Europe now. So,
is he from the States?
Yeah, he's from New York.
Oh, sick.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think there's another label like us in the States. Right? It's everyone else is in Europe. So that was also the goal, have a strategy of not be one more of the label. So have a different image, black and white, kind of aggressive and
it is. Yeah, that's a perfect way to
feel a little. So yeah.
The show that I think it was a 6 a.m. in Synthetic Minds, UVB, and Manny D played. Was that an OMEN's recording showcase?
Yes.
That was, right? That was, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so this started with 6 a.m. with Marco work. And, we start talking about maybe doing a showcase with OMEN. So I give him some option of artists that can... Okay. Because, again, the industrial techno is not as popular, right? It's not as bringing Nina Kravis or, Kyle Cox, right? So we have to pick names that are a little, higher in the food chain. So I was lucky to get a remix from UVB, who's, very respected artist in the industrial techno scene. And then Manny D is my friend. So
I love Manny D.
Just so that I was the first one to bring Manny to the States. Nobody knew.
It was an OMEN recording showcase, right?
Well, that was actually, I think you can say that. So I don't know if you know Charles Xavier.
Charles X, yeah.
Yeah, so he does the stealth parties. So I talked to him and I said, I want to bring Manny D. He didn't know who he was. I sent him some tracks. He's like, oh, that's cool, let's do it. Yeah. I mean, this might sound funny, but there was maybe like 40 people in this party. Okay. Right?
Hey, but sometimes those intimate parties are the ones that are like, yo, dude, I saw Manny D, and there was only literally 20 people, and just so it's like an intimate,
So it was
experience.
His debut basically for OMEN. Arcana, same thing. We brought him, and now they come.
Yeah, I remember the
5-6 times a year.
Yeah,
and it's like, I'm just happy that I can bring this music to the States, and now we went from having 40 people with BND to have, I'm gonna say, 500-600 with 6 a.m.
Yeah. I took my homie who, he used to DJ, but he doesn't really
Oh,
like.
so you were there? You were
I was there.
there?
Yeah, I was there. Yeah, it was that. It was tough.
man.
Yeah. So I
That's
remember
cool.
when I got there, I think you were playing, and then I think then UVB was playing, and then Manny D played as well too. So I was there. So
awesome.
I even saw you
Thanks for
play at a
coming.
Stealth Nights party as well too.
Oh yeah.
So I saw you there as well too. But it's funny because you probably don't remember, but we've met before.
No, I do.
probably
When I saw you,
oh.
when you saw you in the car, I'm like,
I know who that is before. Yeah,
but I didn't want to say because I'm like, what if he's not?
If it's even that same person, yeah. We met at a Soft Leather. Annika introduced us. So.
Oh yeah.
It was a while back. It was a while back. I remember she introduced us.
I wasn't even playing, or she wasn't.
No, you were
playing.
nobody. It was just all of us. Just were there at the dance
Is the
floor.
one when they were by the downtown?
It was
like Chinatown, right?
I think so. It was an older previous
location.
venue that they don't even use right now as well too. But yeah,
right.
so it was one of those as well too. Yeah. So.
Gotcha there, bro.
And because we got a little bit already, to the OMEN recordings and everything. But do you remember your first party that you played in LA or in the States?
Well, I think my first parties in the States were in Chicago.
Okay.
They were really underground, really. I played a few parties mostly on the Mexican community.
Oh, okay.
There was this guy called Charlie who was from Mexico City. So he heard that I moved to Chicago, so he contacted me. He's like, hey, let's do something. So he was throwing this festival called something like electronic Latino music festival, something like this weird. Yeah. So he will bring electronic music artists from other
Mexico,
Spain, Mexico, Colombia, just. So I played a few of those, and then I also played in a few ravers kind of parties there, small. Like I said, back then it was not very very big. I remember I went to see, just to give you an example, right, Richie Houghton, which for me was like Plastic Man hero. He was playing at this club called Smart Bar.
Smart Bar Chicago.
And there was maybe 50 people.
Damn. Okay. And right now, if Richie Houghton would be playing right now, that thing is
he's play that. And then I saw, when I started hearing about this guy called Seth Troxler.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, let me go check this guy out. It's half empty. And so you see those times he was really tough for techno in Chicago. So
damn, that's intense.
It's now a way better time.
Yeah.
So
I guess more opportunity for
there's just
artists and
just more followers too, so they can bring more people. It's all about building, the community.
Yeah.
So I know friends who moved to a city where there's no techno, and they kind of
built it from
start bringing it up, and it's tough, man. It's just
it's just what do you think is just being consistent and just kind of
it's just you have to start small and then just hope people enjoy the parties and the music, and then keep growing and stuff. So I think that's what happened in Chicago and in LA too.
Yeah.
Now with 6 a.m. especially, Incognito and
Dirty Epic,
those three are really throwing really really good parties. It's good that they have so much followers. They're throwing great parties.
Yeah, they're curating a dope.
They're really creating a safe environment, fun environment. So the people who come, they know it's safe. They're not.
It's like a proper introduction to
these dangerous places or anything.
Yeah.
It's almost like clubs, right?
Yeah.
Except for the building.
Exactly. And the whole experience, in a sense,
it's all really nice, So the sound is great,
and the lighting. I'm telling you, the whole production and everything, it really gives us a dope.
They're doing a great job, and they deserve the success.
True. That's true. Then a little bit more about your performance, because you just don't just DJ. You perform live? Are you
Well, it's
hybrid in a sense?
yeah. So just so you know a little bit of history, I guess. So all my time as Axkan, I was always playing live.
Oh, okay.
All this time since '92 or something like that. Just live because I really never got into the DJing thing. I just found it more fun to create music.
Yeah.
Just thought it was, what I liked. So then they asked me, hey, why don't you play? So I will bring my same things I will use in the studio, on the stage. So no different, right? And then computers start to come up. So I move from full hardware to, because I used to just have the sampler, in Sonic with a synth on the side and a drum machine sometimes, some pads like drum pads. And then when the computers came out, it was a big change. So then started using a laptop with, I think I used some software called Cadenza, and then another called Cakewalk.
Oh, I've heard Cakewalk before.
And then I used Reason.
Yeah.
And then I went through Ableton.
Oh, yeah. Is that the current one that you stayed with?
And I'm kind of using Bitwig now. It has really cool features, but I still, probably 80%, 90% in Ableton. It's really the tool that really changed my workflow. So then when I was playing live, I will play with Ableton and some machines and stuff. But I think everything changed when I created the label, because I wanted to promote the tracks from the label. Right?
Oh, okay.
So even though they were not mine, because the whole thing of live set is you play only your own music.
Oh.
So with this new thing with OMEN, I wanted to play the OMEN tracks to promote them because I like them, right?
Yeah.
And there's always these haters, right? Like I started getting a lot of messages and like, hey, that's not live because you're playing someone else's track. So I'm like, you know what? I guess they're right.
Yeah.
Right? So then I start talking to a few people, some of the big guys,
Yeah.
and they say, you know what? Don't tell them to put live. Just do like me. And then I start seeing like Drumsel, right? Drumsel just play drums.
Just yeah.
If he wants to DJ, he can DJ. If he wants to play some live, he can. If he wants to do hybrid, no problem. So I follow just that same, so now I'm just Axkan, and I switched since then to a hybrid set. So basically, I kind of do the same as I do with my live sets before. So I will record, let's say, 6 of the 8 tracks of the song.
Yeah.
And 2 tracks I will play with the hardware, right? So for example, this track I really like the acid, so I will play the 303 hardware live, and then the rest was playing in Ableton. So that was my live set.
Yeah.
So even then, to me, it was a little hybrid because I wasn't DJing, but I was playing tracks. So that's what I will do. I have, when I render the tracks, I will render it without, let's say, the hi-hats.
Okay.
And then I know when I'm playing live, I have to add the hi-hats from the modular or from the drum machine.
Okay.
That's how I was doing it. So now I do the same, but I put it on top of someone else's tracks as well as mine.
Yeah.
So I can mix my track with someone else. But when you are a producer, you sometimes listen to tracks and you kind of feel like something's missing, right? So I'm like, hey, I wish it has like a snare or something,
You can add it with your...
So then with my setup, I add it. I know what tracks I can add stuff. So, I have sequences that I can, that I just launch when the track is playing. And then So yeah, that's kind of my setup. My drum machine, I like it because I do drum patterns live.
Yeah.
Like I said, you want to add some hi-hats, so you put here, let's put the drum, I cue it, I like it, I tune the snare, okay, and so that's kind of, I have also some effects going,
Okay.
so the synth can go through this delay and reverb. So yeah, I've been kind of shrinking my setup. I used to bring 2 pedals
Oh, wow.
for reverb and delay,
Yeah.
and now the company that made that pedal, Eventide, they came up with a software version of that, especially that sound that is called the black hole reverb. So now I run it through Ableton.
So you already you don't have to bring that
and
pedal
it
with
sounds
you,
exactly the same. So the sense from the mixer, I send it through Ableton, and the Ableton comes out with the reverb, same
wow.
reverb. And same thing with my tape delay pedal. I switched to
software,
a plugin, no problem. And also another change, I went from using a line mixer, a 12, 16 channel mixer,
yeah.
to just using a DJ mixer. So
Yeah.
now I'm using the sound mixers. I went from the 92, now I'm trying to switch to the 96. The problem is not everyone has it.
Oh, okay.
But it's really...
The 96 is the top one right now, right? Like kind of like
it's
the one.
new one.
Yeah.
So it's really cool, but the problem is you can assume that the
promoter's gonna have it or something.
So
the 92, low-key, everybody has it, right?
Yeah, the 92.
It's like
but the thing
one.
is, I went from using 12 cables on the 92 to using 2 cables with the 96.
Oh, so the 96 is like in a sense more essential?
Because it has an audio interface.
Oh, okay.
So basically I just connect my laptop to the USB, and I have all my channels already linked through USB.
Oh.
Wait, before I have to connect my RME sound card. Every channel,
like RCA into that or something.
Left and right channel 1, left and right channel 2, left and right channel 4. The sense, the resense, the back and forth.
Yeah.
Now, even the effects that I just told you, they run internally through the USB bus.
Oh, wow.
So basically, I just need 2 cables, one from the drum machine
and one,
one from the synth.
Oh, okay. Oh.
No, that's
nothing. Okay.
Because the so basically the Sound 96 is like your audio interface. Except it has 16 channels.
Oh wow!
It's a monster, man. When I was kind of a little unsure if the interface was good enough, and latency, and
but somebody has said that it's pretty
drivers.
Good. That's pretty solid.
But I played like few times, maybe like 4 times with the 96. And solid, man.
With the 96, if you play with Tractor, can you plug in just no?
Yes.
No
with
interface?
Tractor, you just
and you say, huh? Damn, that's nice.
So, I mean, as soon as they start getting more common, I think.
It's gonna.
But I mean, even now when
do you bring yours to the events?
When I ask for it, they have it. For example, for the show on Wednesday, I got one from someone who let me use it.
Oh, cool.
But for example, in Europe, I asked for one, no problem. So they are getting way more common. So
that's cool. And
that's kind of my setup right now.
Okay.
I have 4 decks with loops.
Oh, 4
and
decks.
tracks.
So
and then I have the returns from the effects.
Yeah.
And then I have the 2 channels with the synth and the drum machine.
That's cool. That's dope. Oh wow. That's like, so now you guys know how it looks. When you guys see Axkan.
Yeah, I also don't like to show. A lot of artists come with the laptop and open it, and the Apple is there, and I kind of don't like that. Yeah. So my laptop is one of those flip. So it's like a Surface.
Oh, okay,
so
yeah.
So a lot of people ask me like, "Oh, how do you run Ableton in an iPad?"
And
yes, because it's not an iPad. It's really a Well, I went from a Sony to a Microsoft Surface.
Oh, so it looks like an iPad, but it's not. It's
Yeah, it's just a laptop. It's
oh, that's
like a
cool. That's sick.
i5
Oh,
and
I see what you're saying. Oh, nice.
so I just don't like to show like I
This
have a
big old like
laptop.
elaborate like right there. Yeah. Oh,
I just
okay.
heard some people comments like they're like, "Oh yeah, I do the same with my laptop because now with software anybody can DJ or play tracks." You know what I mean? So I just felt like, you know what? Let's just keep it more simple. And
Minimal. Yeah, that's tight.
yeah. So now even with the 96 is very minimal.
And I guess this still kind of ties in with production. Well, that's your performance, but with production, do you have any releases that are like special to you? You know, maybe like a cool backstory. You know.
Well, the release, the Omen O5, I have to say that was the most successful.
Okay.
So it sold really well, and then I got to work with really, really good artists that I respect, right? So I got a remix from Luis Flores,
Oh yeah.
which blew my mind. Really respect the guy for his just sound design and mixing
Yeah.
skills. And then I also got this remix from UVB.
Yeah.
So that I think pushed the record really well, and I have this tour. I think I played in the tour. I'm gonna say probably like 10 to 15 gigs.
Oh wow. Oh wow. How's that? How's tour?
It was good, man.
Yeah.
It was just played in Russia, in Poland, uh, the UK, France. I mean, it was very, very well received. Colombia.
Oh yeah.
Detroit, blah blah blah. So
Yeah.
basically, it's kind of funny because these things I didn't plan it.
Yeah.
Right? So when I got my record out, somebody I think from Chicago was the first who said, "Hey, let's do a release party from your record. I really like it." Sure. So then he announced it, and he's like, "We're doing the name of the album is called Tournament."
Oh yeah.
So they like, "Oh, I'm gonna do the Tournament tour in Chicago." So people just out of the blue start asking me, "Hey, I wanna be in the tour too. You wanna come play here?" I'm like, "Yeah." So then I got Chicago, Detroit, and somebody from San Fran. And then looking at that, I started then asking friends and like, "Hey, you wanna be part of the tour?" "Oh,
Yeah.
sure, man. Let's do it."
That's
Who else is there? "Oh, I got Chicago, San Francisco." "Oh yeah, let's do it." So I got Boston, New York, and so
Yeah.
it was really cool that then I guess that's maybe late in the game, but that's really how it works, right? You
Yeah.
come up with a release, and you promo that release, and then you tour that release. That's kind of how
How it is.
the industry works, right? The rock bands, they come with a new record and they tour, right? So I guess I don't do full length albums, but the EP did really well, and even till this day I get sales from digital mostly, but yeah, I guess that's kind of my most I guess historical, or
Nice, cool,
that's cool
sentimental,
memories from that record. Yeah,
last time. It helped. When I was like, it helped you, but like, it did help you, like, travel.
right.
So it was
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
cool.
and a lot of people like they never heard of Axkan, and then after that record, like
They got a proper introduction.
yeah, like I went to Poland and I heard people playing the UBB remix, right? And I was like, "Oh, that's cool,"
Yeah.
And then I heard some people, famous DJs playing tracks from it and stuff, so it was cool.
That's tight. And how do you, or what do you feel that you've done, to still be relevant in the scene today? You did say that, there was a little like, cycle.
Up and down.
Yeah.
Well, I think I don't think I deserve the credit much. I think it's just for whatever reason the industrial techno sounds start getting more. I'm gonna call it popular.
Yeah.
And because I was kind of in that
Already
mode,
doing it. Yeah,
so
you've been doing it.
Kind of like a surfer where you just get into the wave. So,
but you were
yeah,
like,
man.
you got like pushed into the wave, but you were like, in a sense,
Oh
already
yeah,
had
you
the
gotta
arsenal
know
ready. It's
how
like,
to,
hey,
you gotta how to stand, right? It's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
like
yeah,
just,
yeah.
oh, here's the
I'm
wave.
in and out.
And then what's funny is like now I see all these people like used to complain, now they're doing their same kind of industrial techno now, so I'm like, oh, okay, you know what I mean? I mean, there's still this kind of like, rejection a little bit. Like I think the other day, Surgeon made a comment that he said it was just funny.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's like, really? Because I heard him play with Regis.
Oh, yeah.
They did this British Murder
Oh,
Boys.
yeah, British Murder Boys, yeah.
And
yeah.
I saw them live in a tunnel.
Oh,
and it was amazing. And it sounded pretty industrial. And he sounded like he's funny. I guess maybe he was referring of the term. Right?
Oh, okay. Because I've heard people. I guess like, and that's exactly why I get kind of like, I don't know. You know what? Maybe I shouldn't say anything or like describe anything because.
No, of course.
Because somebody says like, oh, industrial techno. It's just techno. So I'm like, okay, then sounds good.
Yeah. I
so
mean, it is really. Especially
but I feel like it's a way to kind of maybe describe some of the elements that you'll kind of hear in the track, So
yeah,
I think that's a proper way.
Much more noise and much more distortion.
Yeah, you see, yeah.
Much more metallic sounds.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I don't think it's wrong, but I see what he's saying. I think he got a little maybe touched because he's been doing similar stuff like that, and it never got a name. And now that
he doesn't want to get labeled in a sense, yeah.
Now that some other people are doing, and they got a label on that genre, and he's not really considered part of that genre.
Okay.
So maybe that's why he feels a little
like
left
out. Yeah.
But he's a great artist, so cool.
Ooh, excuse me, but we're kind of almost running down because we kind of talked a little bit about Detroit for sure. But OMEN recording, is there anything maybe that we didn't
I mean, I think the goal is just keep releasing music.
Yeah.
And we, like I said, we swing between like really hard industrial techno and really more techno industrial flavor.
You said that you don't do albums, but is maybe an album coming up?
No,
I don't
like. It's the whole album thing. It's almost like, in my opinion, it's like its own kind of art form. Because I mean, you gotta understand where you are, right?
Yeah.
Techno is really a dance music, right? How many dance music albums do you know?
Oh.
It's really not that many. The dance music, it's 12-inch and it's EPs or singles.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's people who do albums, right? Like, I think, for example, Plastic Man, right?
Oh, yeah.
Amazing albums, but I don't think that's really techno. Techno is more like minimal, really deep, and
to play, like maybe just to play in the background, but to listen to. Maybe
so I think maybe Plastic Man is one of the few that I know that do albums. Of course, there's been people that have done albums of techno, but to me, I don't think it's. If I were to do an album, I would say it will be more experimental, more
Okay, yeah, I've seen like
it's more to listen than to dance. Back then in 2002, I did have an album ready, but it didn't go out because the whole issue with EMI, we had a legal dispute with the rights of some of the records from the label. And then basically we couldn't release anything else until that issue got fixed.
Oh, damn.
And it took years.
Oh, so by that time you're just kind of like...
By the time those tracks, they sound so old.
Yeah, you're like, what's the fun of even... Yeah.
But to me, it was, disappointing because I'm like, oh man, I worked so hard on this, and then, So maybe I should really like look for those and
maybe
re-release them as
that
like
would be pretty cool. Yeah, that would be pretty tight.
Yeah.
Some archives, some Axkan. It would be an Axkan, right?
Yeah, but I don't know, man. It's just different times. The sound, I'm sure, is like...
It might not even maybe fit too much of what you're going for.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I can release it digitally, just like a, back and forth or something. Like, yeah.
You're well-rounded artist, but do you have any I think people can get the advice from what we're talking right now, but do you have any advice for like DJs, producers, and label heads, because you're basically all that?
Yeah, I actually get a lot of questions like that. So one thing I will tell people is to focus in one thing, right? Do what you do best and focus on it. Because I've seen kids who try to make like bass music and dubstep, and then they want to do techno, and then they want to do hip hop and stuff. So I think you gotta focus in one thing and find your style. Find whatever you're good at. If you're good at doing beats, then focus doing beats, improve your beats, your sound. Or if you are really good at doing melodies, then make that your signature and focus on that. Because, there are geniuses out there who can do many genres and stuff, but most people are better doing one thing. So that's my advice. So find your style and just focus on it, and just go like, just what we talk, right? I try to do drum and bass because I like drum and bass, but I just didn't feel like it's my thing, I just didn't. So, if you don't feel like that's yours, and move on and find something. Don't just do music because your friends are in this. You know what I mean? Just do what you like. And then the advice I have for DJs is do music too. Try to make music, because I think that's what pushed you aside from the rest.
Just another DJ.
Because there's, I'm gonna say, probably millions of DJs, right, in the whole world.
Yeah. And
as a DJ, you play tracks, right, like every other DJ. So yeah, you beat match. I can beat match in like, if I focus in like a week, it will all get back, and it did like 3 months ago when I started. So the technique is very easy. Let's say it takes 2-3 months to beat match,
to get it down.
And then you pick tracks, you buy tracks, and you play them. But that's really what a lot of DJs are doing. So for you to come out and be noticed, you need to do something different, right?
Yeah.
And if you're playing tracks like everybody else plays, it's really hard to be that, right? But I think when you start doing music, that right there, it will set you aside,
Yes, okay.
There is all this topic that people talk about, the art of DJing, right?
Oh yeah.
Some people don't think it's art. Some people think it's just a technique, a skill.
Oh.
But if you look at the definition, what is, when you go to school, what do they teach, right? They teach music, dance, plastic arts, sculpture, painting.
Yeah.
So, I've experienced amazing sets by DJs that I'm like, fuck, this guy's an artist,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right? But I probably can count those with my hand.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Everybody else is, I see them just like DJ. Okay, he's playing good tracks. He can beat match. Cool, right? But I think the fact that you make art, which is music, right? That's just, I think that sets the difference between being an artist or not, right?
Yeah.
So it's not easy, like if you compare the difficulty level that you need to DJ compared to produce a track, will take way longer.
Yeah.
And I mean, doing it right, of course, anybody can
yeah.
buy a drum machine and a synth and
put
oh
some
yeah,
stuff.
I got my track. No, you have to produce your track, arrangement, notes, mixing, compression, blah blah. So
That's the EQing part.
so that's my I will tell people to, it's cool that you're DJing. It's a good way that gets you into the music. Well, now if you really love the music, then bring something new from you, not just play tracks from other people,
Nice.
but you come up with something that's yours and no one else can do it. It's just, that's art, right?
That's nice. That's nice.
So that's my only advice. I know a lot of people who are DJs or love DJs, they might think like, who am I to say this? But I'm just saying on my point of view.
Which is, it's valid, so
I'll give you an example. There is this DJ from LA. I don't know if you heard of her. Her name is Sarah Strandberg.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
So Sarah, she's a great DJ. I've seen her play, no problem. So in just like a year or two, she started growing and growing. Why? Because she made music. That's when I'm like, well, what happened? She did a release and she did another release. She moved to Berlin. Now she's doing more music.
Yeah.
So you see, it's not just me saying it. If you look at the most well-known artists in techno or DJs in techno, is because they produce music.
They have their own tracks. Yeah.
Even if it's not the best tracks, but they did something.
Yeah.
Like Nina Kravis, right? Yeah, her tracks, they might not be the best. They're just housey, happy melodies.
Yeah.
But look where she is, right?
Because she has, in a sense, like a catalog, to...
Look at Chris Liebing. When he started, he was making tracks. Perk, Bassmoy, Manny D, UBB. I really can think of a guy that's only DJ that is actually doing great.
Popping like that, yeah.
So the only one I can think is this lady called Nastia.
Oh yeah, Nastia, yeah.
She even made fun the other day. She's like, well, they asked me to do this track for this festival that I'm playing, but I don't know anything, so I'm gonna work with this guy. Call it ghost producer, whatever, but I have ideas and he has the tool, so I'm gonna work with him. But just so that you know, I'm just a DJ. I cannot even try to get into that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I might be missing people that are just DJs and they're really good, but I can tell you there's not that many. So that right there tells you like your chances of growing in the scene will be making tracks. And don't try. A lot of people are really like tough with themselves, and they're like, "Oh no, this sounds like shit."
And they never release.
When you compare to your, heroes. Happened to me too. Sometimes I hear tracks that I'm like, fuck, I'm just gonna quit. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm shit. I'm like nobody, right?
Yeah.
But all I can say is just keep doing it.
Yeah.
Because even if you release a shitty album, you're gonna learn, and then the next one's gonna be better. And just do it, basically.
Yeah.
Get online courses of mixing and
YouTube has some like.
And I just find that amazing because when I was growing up, you didn't have computers.
Yeah.
Or you have computers but not for music.
Yeah.
So, you have to get an actual drum machine and a actual keyboard synthesizer.
Yeah.
It was way harder, man. So right now all you need is a laptop and you gotta I release things on OMEN that they're all done in laptops.
I've heard people, not seen, but I've heard people just producing Ableton plugins, like.
So I'm like, to me, it doesn't matter what you use. So if it sounds great, if it sounds professional and loud and clear, and I don't care what you use. So if you're a DJ and you can afford Tractor and CDJs and mixers, you can afford a software to make tracks. So that's all I'm saying,
And I remembered what I kind of had a brain fart because you were talking about Mexico. Do you think Mexico right now? How do you think? Or what's your perspective on the techno scene in Mexico right now?
Well, in Mexico, I think it's kind of like always, we're always behind, So I actually have a good story because it's recent right now. So I'm planning a OMEN Recordings 3-year anniversary party. So I had this idea of throwing it in Mexico City.
That'd be tight.
And I have this friend who is using this venue that is right now is really hot, and they bringing really good artists there.
Yeah.
But the problem I'm having is the artists that I wanna bring, everybody thinks they're not gonna do really well.
Oh, really?
Because it's my label, so I have to bring artists that are the sound of my label, right?
Yeah.
So I thought about, for example, I Hate Models, right?
Yeah.
Really on the top of the
right now,
industrial techno, playing big festival. And this guy says, he's not gonna do well, man. He's too fast. Mexico, that's not gonna work.
Oh, wow.
What about Perk? No, man. I said, what? Perk is like, here, it's probably, if not number one, in the top 5 in the world.
Yeah.
He was playing the same club I play in Medellin.
Yeah.
Packed, sold out in Brazil. I mean, Awakenings,
I know.
And for them to tell me like he's not gonna do well, they said, no, you should bring like Ben Clock. And I'm like, Ben Clock, he was big like 10 years ago, man.
Oh, so I see what you're saying. Like, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
He said, what about DVS1? I'm like, DVS1 is good, but still, it's not the contemporary techno.
Yeah.
So you see, that's the problem. So there's a lot of people in Mexico. So if you throw one party, at least you're gonna get 500 people.
I went to.
Good because here in the States, like I said, if you're not in LA or New York or Chicago, it's a small parties. I just played Milwaukee, it was a great party. They did really well. The sound was amazing. People were happy. But, it's small, compared to Europe or, So, in Mexico, like I said, here people are just starting to accept industrial techno. You know,
Yeah.
they're starting to come to shows with Per, with Headless Horseman, with all these guys that are Manny D,
Yeah.
right? Uh, so in Mexico, it's gonna take some time to get there.
I went to Mexico City for the first time in August.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's
and-
cool, man.
Yeah, it was an amazing trip. Like, I haven't gone to Mexico since I was like 16 and I'm 27, so it's almost like 10, 11 years that I haven't gone. So this time it was just like with homies that went. They're in a
Did
band.
you go to a party or a party? Or?
Club UU. So I'm not sure if you heard of that.
Oh, yeah.
That's another like it. So the day that we went, it was Friday, and I think we saw Anthony Parasol, and it's a pretty intimate like. Maybe, I don't know, talk to maybe Club UU because their venue like was pretty like nothing like crazy big.
Club U is called?
UU? No, like W, no, YU space YU. So UU. Yeah, so it's UU.
And what do you think, like 500 people? Or?
No, actually not even that much. It's pretty kind of, it's kind of like, 500 people. No, it's not too like big, but it's intimate, and it was like it kind of still
you liked it.
Yeah, it gave me the
Mexico, the partying in Mexico is great, man. Every time I go there, I have a good time.
It was amazing. It was cool.
Food is great, and you always have fun. But yeah, it's just too much traffic and
it was
not to live there, but to go for a weekend.
It was amazing, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, I loved it so much. And then I think the day before they had DJ Stingray. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, sometimes they're bringing like a lot of like,
Yeah, I mean, a Stingray is more like a little electro.
Yeah, he's electro, yeah, but
so,
I was still, I remember because I love him, so I was like,
that's a big.
Yeah, so it's kind of like. Then Anthony Parasol.
So that's what I'm kind of debating, because this guy who I'm partnering, he's more into the Detroit techno.
Ah, okay.
He brought like Detroit Techno Militia.
Oh, okay.
And a few of those Detroit guys.
Yeah.
So, I'm trying to tell him, industrial techno is coming, man. It's not there yet.
They're gonna.
So it's like a chicken. It's like a chicken or the egg, If you don't bring it, people are not gonna support it, and
At least he could be one of like, hey, like we're the first ones kind of throwing this stuff as well too. So
I think maybe I talked to Perk, and he is willing to play.
Down. That'd be tight. That'd be tight.
But the thing is, the financials is what I'm like.
It gets kind of like back and forth.
So I talked to one of my friends from Mexico City, who is probably one of the most like famous DJs there of techno, and plays a little maybe progressive a little, but he's big, so he's like, I think if you bring Per, but we get some local support from like
that'd be cool,
people like me or this other guy,
mm-hmm.
it can work out. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'll just bite the bullet, because it's really an anniversary party, so you're really more doing it to celebrate, not to
That's
like.
true. Yeah.
But I also wouldn't like to lose money.
Yeah.
Especially.
There's a venue called, I think, Ex Fábrica de Harina.
That's what I'm with.
Oh, okay. That place is because my friends played.
You went there?
Not inside Ex Fábrica, because it's like I guess the whole building or place is called Ex Fábrica de Harina, but inside the venue,
they said they have different like shops.
Like there's a tattoo shop, a skate shop, a pizza place, and then it's called La Capilla de los Muertos, which is a venue for bands, and then literally like.
And that's where your friends play.
That's where they played at, yeah, like Capilla de los Muertos up there. But I guess across they had it closed, like closed up, and that's where it's Ex Fábrica de Harina, the venue for the techno, like, or electronic. But that whole place was amazing, like just in general, the whole like vicinity, like
Oh, I'm glad I talked to you, because I want to do it there, because what they've been telling me.
Yeah,
But I just never been there.
Yeah, it's tight. I my friend said, he's like, dude, I just went into because one that was playing, he's like, they just took me to the tour of this place, and I just went into the room where they throw the raves, and I'm like, tell them to open the door again, I want to go check it out. But he's like, nah, we just went right now. They took him to the tour or whatever, like, hey, this is the place. But yeah, that place is dope. You should,
they figured it out that people throwing parties there make a lot of money, so now they want a lot of money to rent it.
And so we know about the Omen Recording Showcase 3-year anniversary. Do you have any other upcoming? Oh no, upcoming gigs. This is.
Oh yeah.
And do you have any other upcoming gigs?
I just had a invite to play in March in Leipzig, which is close to Berlin, like an hour or something.
Okay. Yeah.
So I've been trying to. I have a friend that lives there, and he's been trying for like 2 years to get me there, and for one reason or another, it just never happens.
Have you played in Berlin before or in Europe? Yeah. Oh yeah. You did say that. Yeah.
Yeah. I play usually in this place called Staub.
Okay.
There are, pretty well-known parties in Berlin.
Have you played in Amsterdam?
No, never. Never. I'm also working on something. This artist from OMEN called Breck, he's from Utrecht, from Netherlands. But, he saw about these release parties and stuff. I was like, hey, maybe we can do something here. I'm like, yeah, man. Yeah. Why don't you talk to some of the clubs there and, I'll come over and you play and I can get somebody. In Europe, it's so easy. I got basically all 90% of my art is from Europe.
From Europe, yeah.
So there's an option, if I could find a venue in Europe, I can do it there.
Oh.
I'm actually talking to, you ever heard of Jaded?
Jaded, yeah. Yes.
Jaded London.
Mm-hmm.
So I played in September there.
Yeah.
And I met the guy.
Yeah.
His name is Raimundo. And I said, hey man, will you be interested in doing a OMEN show? He's like, yeah, And I just messaged him and he said they're rebranding some of their parties. Like I think they're gonna do, because Jaded is on Sunday morning through Sunday afternoon. It's really an after or whatever.
Yeah, like after, yeah.
So actually when I play in London, I play Saturday night in this club until I think I did 5 to 7.
Yeah.
And then I was playing at 10 in Jaded.
Jaded, like in the morning.
So I just went, get a little nap at Manny's and just like
go back
to play. But it was amazing, man. This club is called Corsica Studios.
Oh yeah, Corsica.
Very nice.
In Berlin?
No, in London.
Oh yeah, London. Never mind. I thought it's never mind.
Yeah, Jaded is Jaded.
Yeah. Makes sense. Jaded London.
And I really like the energy there, man. Everybody seems to like be really cool, really supportive, and just because it's at 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
So whoever goes there is because they're really into techno. They really want to see you play.
Yeah.
If you're tired, you just want to.
But dedicated to like, hey, yo, man, but Axkan's playing, yo, go bad piece, by just something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just happy that it happened, and so yeah, that's an option too. The problem again is Europe. They plan in advance.
Oh, so they can probably already maybe have that. Yeah.
So maybe I'll do probably. Sounds like I might do something with Jaded London with OMEN, but probably not the anniversary. Sounds like maybe more in the summer. Yeah,
I'm hoping it does pull through in LA. That would be sick.
I mean, if I could afford it, I will bring Manny again.
Yeah.
Just my hero and friend. Maybe Axkan.
Yeah,
maybe
that'd be tight.
Break. I really like his release. I could easily bring Dark Cloud from my 08 release, which I really like his music. I could bring Paul Berken.
Yes. So I love him.
I can definitely put a good lineup, but it's just see if.
I love Paul Berken. Yes.
Oh,
yes,
you do?
Yes. Yeah.
He's good. This party I told you last weekend in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Did you play with him?
Because is he from the Midwest or where is he from?
He's from Minneapolis.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. Yeah. Man,
so
I love Paul Berken.
It was really cool because it's the first time that we were able to get the crew from the record.
Yeah.
Like I made a remix, Paul Berken did a remix.
Yeah.
And 3 originals from Dark Cloud.
Oh, okay.
So we all 3 play.
Oh, that'd be tight. That'd
Like
be
I said, if I had
sick.
money every release, I would throw a party
Yeah.
with the artists from the release.
Oh, that'd be tight.
But
That'd be
I
sick,
have
yeah.
all my guys are from Europe, so it's
You see,
not
that's why at
doable.
one point I thought Omen Recordings was like a European like type label as well too, you know. So
I wish.
you know, but since like you know, but it's cool. Like I made my like did the research. I'm like, oh, Axkan is the founder of this shit. Oh, nice, cool.
Yeah, no, I've heard that a lot, man. I think when I'm in Europe, usually, and I give stickers from Omen. It's like, oh yeah, I like Omen, man. It's cool. I'm like, yeah, where are you from? Oh, from Los Angeles.
Like,
oh,
what?
really? I thought it was
Yeah,
from
yeah.
here or something.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
no, man.
Yeah.
I record a lot of artists from Berlin, but that's because that's where they all are.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, I mean, I'm actually starting to record more American artists, and I'm just trying to push more, you know, this
Yeah.
with digitals, right?
Yeah.
Because the problem with vinyl is you have to always think of sales, right?
Mm.
You're always like, hey, it's costing me $2,000. I need to get an artist or a remixer who can help me sell.
Yeah.
Right? But when you do digital,
It's
the
more
expense is like way less.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So then you like can record more newer artists without being worried like, oh, I'm gonna lose.
Yeah.
Even I still lose, but I just lose like a few hundreds compared
to like some
thousands.
grand. Yeah.
So you know, like I released this Dark Cloud guy. I really like the music, but it was his first release. But I just liked it. I said, let's do it. It did okay, you know. It didn't do fantastic because he's a new artist.
Yeah.
But it helped the remix from Paul Berken.
Oh.
Right.
I think I checked that out because that sounds familiar. Like, you know, Paul
Yeah, I
Berken
can
remix,
send it to you.
Yeah.
I'll send it. And then I think in the 11th, I'm gonna release my friend Jay Garrett. From Vancouver.
Yeah, he's played before at I think at
a
work
he
event.
played with 6 a.m. with I Hate Models.
Yes.
He opened for I Hate Models.
Mm-hmm.
So he put together some really cool tracks. So I'm gonna release him. He's from Detroit originally.
Oh, okay.
But he lives in Vancouver.
Makes sense. Like right across, like.
Well, no, because he's from Vancouver.
Oh yeah. Never mind. Yeah.
So I think he lived in Seattle for a while, then moved. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm gonna release that. I'm hoping for a remix from Drumcell.
Ooh.
We still kind of negotiating that. And then my release number 12 is gonna be myself. It's gonna be a vinyl.
Oh, okay.
So I have it's planned. I still haven't got the final, but it's gonna be a remix from Manny D.
Yeah.
And Scalameria.
Oh,
that's the plan.
Damn.
So like I said, in that way, the vinyl makes sense because those guys will help me sell it.
Yeah.
So that's unfortunately how's the industry. You know, I wish if vinyl was cheaper. I'm surprised they haven't come with like a technology to
make it like a cheaper process. Like not like saying like cheap in the quality.
Because I'm sure if it was like maybe. I'm just gonna say $500, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people will just do
be able
vinyl.
to do the yeah.
Like all these digital sales will just because people will just prefer to do vinyl.
Yeah.
It also takes time. It takes like 6 to 8 weeks or something.
Oh wow.
With digital, you send it to master ready, designs ready, push it.
You send the distribution, whatever, and they.
Bandcamp is out.
Oh yeah, Bandcamp is like right there. Yeah.
So. But yeah, I'm surprised they haven't come with a technology to press vinyl faster and cheaper, because that will really change the whole game. Because I love vinyl. If I could, I would do every release in vinyl. But it's
just the cost.
I lost money from 1 through 6, man. Only the release 2 and the 5 they did okay.
That's only okay.
The one from my Arcana, it's
You did, yeah,
amazing.
Yeah.
It's still selling up to this day.
That's crazy because I think I bought some A Arcana tracks and I'm pretty sure they're on the Omen recordings.
So the O2, the vinyl sold out in like a month, but
Damn.
we still selling digital.
Yeah, they were just like
And then the 5, the mine with
the one that you said that.
with UBB and Luis Flores did well, and then this release with Break, very good too. It's digital only, but it did really good, man. This Dax J played the track, the remix from this French guy called Il Nours. Play that track. Actually, that's something I forgot to say as the bigger moments of OMEN recording.
Yeah.
So that to me was a big moment because to have, it wasn't so much Dax J, but it was just where he played, right? He played in Awakenings in this.
The gas howder or gas shooter? I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but somebody told me I kept saying gas howder, but somebody said gas shooter.
You know, just that huge circle or sphere.
Yeah.
So you see him play the track from Omen in front of all these, like, at least 5,000 people. It just felt great, man.
Yeah, I'll bet you, yeah.
So it's just funny how it happens, because the moment he played the track, the Bandcamp sales for that track just went
shot up and everything. There's probably people like, what is this track? Sometimes you probably kind of need somebody
and
just to
then
kind
when
of
somebody put the ID, like, I didn't know. I'm not listening to every
every set
Awakening.
or something like that.
Let's see who's playing and every track, you know. But somebody told me, and they saw it in the track list.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, no way. So I put it, and then I promote it, and I said, check this, and Dax J playing our track, and sold really well.
Damn, that's tight. But tell the listeners where we can find you, or they can find you on social media.
Oh yeah, I think the most active is probably Facebook. It's facebook.com/axkan.techno.
Axkan.techno.
Yep,
Okay.
that's the URL. But if you just search for Axkan, you
should be able to pop up.
And then in Instagram, I'm axkan.la.
Yeah. Axkan.la. Instagram, everybody.
And SoundCloud is Axkan. SoundCloud is /Axkan and /OmenRex for Omen Recording.
Okay.
And then
your Bandcamp?
OmenRecordings.bandcamp.com.
Okay. Get that direct support, people.
And thank you for the support and the podcast push.
Yeah, no, yeah. I'm excited for people to check this out. It's like, because I usually never know what to expect, from the stories of people, but it's cool to hear the backstory and all the work that you've been doing, so, and well deserved, recognition right now and more to come. So
sure, man.
So thank you again.
No problem.
All right, everybody. This was the Axkan episode of Beyond Normal Days. We're outie. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.